Hi, folks. It's Shannon. Welcome on in. Um, I don't know about you, but where I am, it's been pretty cold lately. I live in the upper Midwest of the United States, so it's been frigid, to say the least. So I was thinking that we could talk a little bit about ways that I keep my connection to the earth when it's really cold outside. So if that's something that's interesting to you, grab some tea and let's get into it. So, welcome to my apothecary. As you may see, I have quite a few dried herbs. And this is one of the ways that I like to work with herbs and with the energy of the earth throughout the winter. So, one of the things that I would say is there's working with dried herbs and then there's studying dried herbs that can both be really helpful. So, as an herbalist, one of the ways that I work with my dried herbs during the winter is to do study. So I have a variety of books that I use as reference material, and I have an online version of a Materia Medica, which is basically just a catalog of plants and how they're used for medicine and for magic in my case. And basically, once I've got all that information collated and collected, I put it into these two different beautiful journals. I got them from an Etsy seller. If she still has them available, I'll put the links down in the description box, so check it out. Um, but yeah, so this is my Materia Medica, and I've got a lot of different plants that I've worked with. When I say worked with, I do the study part of things that we're talking about now, but there's also some other parts that I work on. So this is an example from rosemary. Here's lemon balm, one of my favorites. I feel like I could say one of my favorites for all of these plants because these are the beauties that I've worked with. So there's a fair amount of study that goes into getting these write-ups together. But one of the other things that I like to do with each plant as I work with it, instead of just doing book knowledge, is to actually have an experience with the plant, whether that's drinking it in a tea if I can. If it's not safe, that might be just meditating with the plant if it's toxic. Yeah, so those are both things that I work on during the winter a fair amount. So coming back to the Materia Medica, everybody keeps theirs in a different way. I have these beautiful paintings that were done by the mother of the woman that runs the Apothecary at Home subscription. That's where I got these pictures from. I'll link the Apothecary at Home subscription below because it is a fabulous way to get introduced to herbs. So everybody keeps slightly different information in their Materia Medica. These are the important parts for me, I think. Just some details about the plant, and then when do you use it, when to avoid it, some information about its energetics and how it grows, and then kind of how to make various medicinal preparations with it, just a description of the plant. And then in my notes, history, and lore area, I keep information that I usually get out of Cunningham's Herbs, and I'll look up what the real title of that is, but it's the green book that everybody uses. I'll put it down in the description below. So some tips for gathering all this information. I'm learning from Rosemary Gladstar, and she recommends having at least 3 different books that you are triangulating information from, which I think is a very good way to make sure that you're getting kind of consensus from the herbal field instead of just somebody's unverified personal gnosis, which is great for a lot of things, but not so helpful if you're wanting to know whether or not it's safe for you to take something into your body. So I think that rule of triangulation is really important and helpful when you're beginning your herbal journey. Another way that I work with earth energy in the winter is kind of an extension of my work with herbs, and that is blending my own teas and drinking them. Um, I'm almost always drinking tea, as you'll know from my videos thus far. So I've learned how to make blends. And it's a lot of trial and error, honestly, to see what blends work out well. But that in and of itself, that process is a wonderful way for me to stay connected to the earth as the winter months go on. This is another way that I love to stay connected to the earth throughout the winter. That is my house plants, and some of them are doing better than others. Hopefully you'll give me some grace because it's the winter time and they don't have a ton of sun. But I have quite a few different house plants that I try to keep throughout the year. This bonsai is not doing so well. But this tropical plant surprisingly is, and I'm really happy about it. Here you can see a rose of Jericho that I have. And I work with spells sometimes. This one I did do in a video, which I can link down below. But sometimes I leave them out to keep working, even when I'm done with the candle part of the spell. Despite the cold and the many, many weeks of frost to come in my neck of the woods, I started trying to propagate some plants. Other years I've done trying to start herbs from seeds, and it hasn't gone super well. So this year I'm trying to propagate them from living plants. So this is one of my experiments to keep myself connected to the earth and its energy during the cold of winter. It looks pretty bright at the moment, but it's actually been cloudy for days and days and days. But that said, any light that I can get, I try to soak up from outside because that can be really helpful for me too to stay connected to the earth and the sun. And then the final way that I want to talk about that I try to stay connected is actually through hedge riding. And that is something we've talked about a little bit on the channel before, but I kind of want to go into a little more depth about. So when I'm talking about hedge riding, I'm talking about kind of a deep, deep meditation where I go to the other world with my subconscious, my conscious, I don't know what part of me it is, but my mind goes to the other world while my body stays where I am. Hedge riding makes use of altered states of consciousness. So there's lots of different ways to get into an altered state of consciousness, whether that's drumming, whether that's dancing, whether that's chanting. Those are some of the methods that I use. And then once I'm in an altered state of consciousness, I have a very particular way that I go into the other world to meet with my guides, but also just to spend some time with the earth. Often, a lot of times once I get to the other world, I'll just kind of lay on the earth in a way that it doesn't make sense to do when it's in the negative degrees Fahrenheit. I think meditation in and of itself is a great way to stay connected to the earth, especially if you do like a tree of life meditation or something that's grounding you. But for me, it's even more powerful when I do something with hedge riding. It's a deeper experience for me and one that I'm not controlling. So I think this is a key part of hedge riding is that it's not the same as a guided meditation because you're not kind of giving your subconscious or your mind or whatever is traveling, you're not giving it instructions, you're just going to this other world and kind of seeing where things take you. It's much more open in that way than meditation or path working or a lot of other types of journeying are. because of that, I think it's really important to talk about hedge riding safely. Um, I think that there's a lot of steps to take before you do your first hedge ride, which we can get into on other videos. But yeah, I take a lot of protective steps. I take a lot of very deliberate steps to make sure that I can get in and out of the other world in a way that's safe, um, and stay kind of connected to my body even when I'm wandering around. So that is 5 different ways that I try to connect to the earth when it's really cold outside. So let's go through them again. The first one was to work with dried herbs. Second was to study herbs. Third is making teas. The fourth is kind of growing house plants. And the fifth was hedge riding, or if you don't hedge ride, meditation. So um, I hope this gives you some ideas of how to stay connected to the earth when it's cold outside. Um, Spring is coming just like winter was coming, and we will get through these cold, dark days together. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon. If you're interested in some more videos, check out what's on the screen.